Ambassador Kim Soo-jin sat in her office aboard the massive space station called Concordia. The station floated in space between many different worlds, serving as the meeting place for all the alien races in the galaxy. She was drinking her morning coffee and reading reports when the emergency alarm started ringing. The sound made her heart jump. In her 15 years as Earth's representative to the Galactic Council, she had only heard that alarm 3 times. Each time meant something terrible had happened. Her communication screen flickered to life, showing the face of Captain Lee Bo-ram from the Human Defense Fleet. The captain's eyes were red, and her voice shook as she spoke. "Ambassador, we have received terrible news from the outer colonies. New Terra has been attacked." Soo-jin felt the coffee cup slip from her hands. It hit the floor and shattered, but she barely noticed. New Terra was one of humanity's newest colonies, built on a peaceful world far from any conflict zones. Families had moved there to start new lives, to raise their children under alien suns. "How bad is it?" Soo-jin asked, though she already feared the answer from the captain's expression. "Total destruction, the entire colony is gone. 50,000 people, Ambassador, all of them." The words hit Soo-jin like a physical blow. She gripped the edge of her desk to keep from falling. 50,000 humans. Men, women, children, elderly grandparents. All dead. Who did this? She whispered. "The Valerian Empire." They came without warning, without any declaration of war. Their ships appeared in orbit and began firing on civilian targets. Schools, hospitals, homes. They killed everyone. Soo-jin closed her eyes, trying to process what she was hearing. The Valerians were one of the most powerful alien races in the galaxy. They had signed the same peace treaties as everyone else. They had promised to respect human territory and protect civilian populations. "Send me everything," she said. "All the data, all the recordings. I need to see what happened." The next hour was the worst of Soo-jin's life. She watched the security footage from New Terra as Valerian warships descended from the sky like metal angels of death. She saw the bright flashes of their weapons as they destroyed the school where children had been learning about the stars. She watched the hospital collapse as doctors tried to save their patients. She saw a playground where just hours before, human children had been playing games with their alien friends. Now it was nothing but twisted metal and ash. The worst part was the final transmission from the colony's governor, Park Hyun-woo. He stood in his office as explosions shook the building around him, speaking calmly into his communicator. "This is Governor Park of New Terra Colony. We are under attack by Valerian forces. We have done nothing to provoke this assault. We are a peaceful colony with no military installations. They are targeting civilians, including children. If anyone receives this message, please remember us. Please remember that we tried to live in peace." The transmission ended in static as the governor's building was destroyed. Soo-jin sat in silence for a long time after the recordings ended. Outside her office window, she could see other ships arriving at Concordia Station. Representatives from dozens of alien races were coming for an emergency meeting of the Galactic Council. Her door chimed, and Ambassador Thylex of the Centauri Republic entered. The tall, blue-skinned alien looked genuinely sad as he approached her desk. "Ambassador Kim, I have heard the terrible news. The Centauri Republic offers its deepest condolences for your loss. This attack violates every principle of civilized behavior." "Thank you," Soo-jin replied quietly. "Will your government support strong action against the Valerians?" Thylex looked uncomfortable. "We will certainly file a formal protest. Perhaps economic sanctions could be considered. The council will need to discuss the appropriate response." Soo-jin nodded, but inside she felt a cold anger growing. Formal protests, economic sanctions, lengthy discussions while 50,000 humans lay dead. More ambassadors arrived throughout the day, each offering their sympathy and their promises to consider various diplomatic responses. The Altarian Federation would impose trade restrictions. The Vegan Confederacy would recall their ambassador from Valerian space. The Andromedan Union would draft a strongly worded resolution. None of them spoke of justice. None of them spoke of making the Valerians pay for what they had done. As the day wore on, Sujin received more reports from human colonies throughout the galaxy. Fear was spreading. If the Valyrians could destroy New Terra without consequences, what would stop them from attacking other human worlds? Late that night, alone in her office, Sujin activated her most secure communication channel. The call went directly to Earth, to the office of President Moon Jae-in in Seoul. "Mr. President," she said when his face appeared on the screen, "the Council will not act with the strength this situation requires. They see this as a diplomatic problem to be solved with words and paperwork." The President was quiet for a moment, his face grave. "What do you recommend, Ambassador?" "The Valyrians have broken faith with the entire galaxy. They have shown that they do not respect the laws that keep us all safe. If we do not respond with strength, they will do this again." President Moon nodded slowly. "I understand. I will contact the Defense Council immediately." After the call ended, Sujin stood at her window looking out at the stars. Somewhere in the darkness, the Valyrian Empire celebrated their easy victory over defenseless humans. They thought they had shown the galaxy that humanity was weak, that humans could be killed without consequence. They had no idea what they had just awakened. General Park Min-ho stood at the entrance of a mountain facility that most people believed was just an old military storage depot. The morning air was cold in the Korean mountains, and his breath formed small clouds as he waited for the massive steel doors to open. Only 5 people in the entire human government knew what was really hidden inside this mountain. The security scan took longer than usual. 3 different machines checked his fingerprints, his eye patterns, and even his DNA before the doors finally began to move. They opened slowly, revealing a tunnel that disappeared into the darkness of the mountain. Min-ho walked alone through the tunnel. His footsteps echoed off the walls, the only sound in the deep silence. Emergency lights flickered on as he passed, creating moving shadows that danced around him. The tunnel went down and down, deeper than any normal military facility. He had been inside this mountain only twice before in his 30-year military career. The first time was when he received his promotion to general and learned about the secrets that came with his new position. The second time was during a security inspection 5 years ago. He had hoped he would never need to come here again. The elevator at the end of the tunnel was old, but well-maintained. Min-ho pressed his hand against another scanner, and the elevator began to descend. The numbers on the display showed how far down they were going. 10 floors, 20 floors, 50 floors. The elevator kept going until it reached level 75, deep in the heart of the mountain. When the doors opened, Min-ho stepped into a corridor that looked like it belonged in a science fiction movie. The walls were covered with metal panels, and soft blue lights provided gentle illumination. The air smelled clean and recycled with a slight metallic taste. At the end of the corridor stood the most important door in human history. It was made of metal so strong that not even the most powerful weapons could break through it. Above the door, written in simple letters, were the words, "Project Prometheus, Authorization Level Alpha." Min-ho approached the door and placed his hand on a scanner. A computer voice spoke in Korean asking for his identification code. He spoke clearly, giving a series of numbers and letters that he had memorized but hoped never to use. Voice pattern recognized. General Park Min-ho. Please, provide secondary authorization. Min-ho removed a small device from his pocket. It looked like a simple metal coin, but it contained technology that was more advanced than anything the public knew about. He placed it in a slot beside the door. Authorization confirmed. Warning. Project Prometheus has been dormant for 347 years. Activation requires approval from the President and the Defense Council. Do you have this approval? Yes, Min-ho said quietly. Authorization code, Omega 77 Alpha. The massive door began to open with a deep humming sound. As it moved, Min-ho thought about the history of what lay beyond. Project Prometheus had been created during Earth's darkest period, when human nations fought each other with weapons that could destroy entire cities. Scientists and engineers had worked in secret to create technology that was so powerful, so dangerous, that it scared even the people who built it. When humanity finally achieved peace and joined the community of alien races in the galaxy, The leaders of Earth made a decision. They would lock away their most dangerous weapons and promise never to use them again. The alien races had celebrated this decision, believing it showed that humans had evolved beyond their violent nature. But the promise was not made because humans were weak. It was made because they knew exactly how strong they really were. Minho stepped into the chamber beyond the door. The room was enormous, filled with computers and machines that hummed with quiet power. In the center of the room stood a cylindrical structure that reached from the floor to the ceiling. Inside the cylinder, he could see the soft glow of the most advanced artificial intelligence ever created by human hands. Dr. Lee Jinna was already there, working at a control panel. She was one of only 12 people on Earth who understood how to operate the Prometheus system. Her fingers moved quickly across the holographic displays as she brought the ancient systems back to life. "General," she said without looking up, "I received the activation order an hour ago. The system has been dormant for so long that it will take time to fully awaken." "How long?" Minho asked. 6 hours for basic systems, 12 hours for full operational capacity." She paused and looked at him. "Are you certain about this?" "Once Prometheus is fully active, there will be no hiding what we can do." Minho thought about the images he had seen from New Terra. Children's toys scattered among the ruins. A teddy bear that had somehow survived the destruction, sitting alone in what had once been someone's home. "They killed 50,000 innocent people," he said. "They think we are weak because we choose peace. They need to learn the difference between choosing not to fight and being unable to fight." Dr. Lee nodded and turned back to her work. Around them, machines that had been silent for centuries began to awaken. Lights flickered on throughout the chamber as systems that contained the accumulated knowledge of human warfare came back to life. Outside the mountain, the world continued as normal. People went to work, children went to school, and nobody knew that humanity was about to reveal its greatest secret. The Valerian Empire had no idea what they had awakened. Dr. Lee Jinna had not slept in 18 hours, but her hands remained steady as she worked at the control panels deep inside the mountain. The massive computer screens around her showed systems coming online one by one, like a giant waking up after a very long sleep. The central cylinder in the middle of the room glowed brighter now. Inside, she could see patterns of light moving, like lightning trapped in glass. This was the brain of Project Prometheus, an artificial intelligence that had been built using the knowledge of every war humanity had ever fought. "System check complete," the AI announced in a voice that sounded almost human. "All primary functions operational. Beginning tactical analysis." Jinna watched as new displays appeared in the air around her. The holographic screens showed maps of the galaxy, with tiny dots representing every known ship and space station. Red dots marked Valerian military assets. Blue dots showed human colonies and ships. General Park Min-ho entered the chamber, followed by 2 other military officers Jinna had never seen before. They wore the uniforms of the human defense fleet, but their badges showed they belonged to units that officially did not exist. "Report," Min-ho said simply. "Prometheus is fully awake," Jinna replied. "It has been analyzing the current situation for the past 4 hours. The AI has already identified 847 Valerian military targets and calculated optimal strike patterns." She gestured to one of the displays which showed the Valerian home system. "Their main fleet is concentrated here, around their capital world. They believe they are safe because of the distance from human space and their superior numbers." "What does Prometheus recommend?" asked one of the other officers, a woman with colonel's insignia. The AI answered for itself. "The Valerian Empire has 1,247 active warships across 17 star systems. Their technology is advanced but follows predictable patterns. They rely heavily on energy shields and long-range weapons. Their weakness is overconfidence." Jinna nodded. "Prometheus has been studying every battle the Valerians have fought in the past century. They always use the same tactics because those tactics have always worked against other alien races." "But not against us?" Min-ho asked. "Human military doctrine was developed through thousands of years of warfare against other humans," the AI explained. We learned to fight opponents who were equally intelligent, equally determined, and equally creative. Other species developed their military technology for exploration and defense. Humans developed theirs for victory. Jinnah brought up another display showing human ships throughout the galaxy. Most of them appeared to be simple cargo vessels, passenger transports, or scientific research ships. But as Prometheus highlighted certain details, their true nature became clear. These are our sleeper assets, she explained. Ships that appear civilian but carry hidden weapons and military systems. The galaxy sees them as harmless, but they have been positioned at strategic locations for decades. The AI began showing communication logs. Coded transmissions have been sent to all sleeper units. They are now preparing for activation. Additionally, 17 deep-cover military installations have been brought online. Minho studied the displays with growing amazement. How many ships do we actually have? The official human defense fleet consists of 312 active warships. Prometheus replied. However, when sleeper assets and hidden units are included, humanity can field 1,891 combat-capable vessels. Jinnah saw the surprise on the general's face. Even he had not known the full extent of humanity's hidden military strength. The other alien races believed humans were one of the smaller military powers in the galaxy. They had no idea how wrong they were. What about our weapons technology? Asked the colonel. Prometheus displayed technical specifications that made Jinnah's breath catch. She had helped design some of these systems, but seeing them all together was overwhelming. Weapons that could punch through any known shield. Engines that could move ships faster than anything else in the galaxy. Sensors that could track enemies from impossible distances. Human weapons technology is approximately 150 years ahead of current galactic standards, the AI reported. This advantage has been carefully hidden through the use of deliberately inferior systems in all public military demonstrations. The truth was stunning. For 3 centuries, humanity had been pretending to be weaker than they really were. Every time human ships participated in joint exercises with alien fleets, they used old, slow weapons to avoid revealing their true capabilities. The Valerians destroyed New Terra because they believed humans could not retaliate effectively. Prometheus continued. This calculation was based on false information. They do not understand what they have provoked. Jinnah watched as the AI began coordinating with military units across human space. Ships that had been pretending to carry grain and manufactured goods suddenly revealed weapon systems that had been hidden in their cargo holds. Space stations that appeared to be simple trading posts activated defensive systems that could destroy entire fleets. On one screen, she saw Captain Choi Han-sol aboard the cargo ship Peaceful Dawn. The ship looked old and slow, exactly like thousands of other civilian vessels. But as Jinnah watched, panels opened along its hull to reveal weapons that no alien race had ever seen before. All units report ready for deployment. Han-sol's voice came through the communication system. We await orders. General Minho looked around the chamber at the displays showing humanity's true military strength. For the first time since learning about the attack on New Terra, he smiled. Send the message to all units, he said. Operation Prometheus is authorized. Show them what humans are really capable of. Throughout the galaxy, the Valerian Empire continued celebrating their easy victory over defenseless humans. They had no idea that their celebrations were about to end very suddenly. Admiral Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Victory, feeling very pleased with himself. The massive Valerian warship floated in space above their capital world, surrounded by hundreds of other ships from their mighty fleet. The destruction of the human colony had been easier than he expected. Sir, his communications officer called out, we are receiving a transmission from human space. Vextar laughed, his 4 arms gesturing dismissively. What could those weak creatures possibly want? To beg for mercy, perhaps? The message appeared on the main screen. A human male in a simple uniform looked directly into the camera. His name appeared as Captain Choi Han-sol, commanding officer of something called the Peaceful Dawn. This is Captain Choi of the Human Defense Fleet, the man said in a calm voice. You have committed an act of war against innocent civilians. We demand the immediate surrender of all forces responsible for the attack on New Terra colony. The entire bridge crew burst into laughter. Vextar wiped tears from his 6 eyes as he struggled to speak. Did you hear that? They demand our surrender. These humans have perhaps 300 small ships in their entire fleet, and they think they can threaten the Valerian Empire. His tactical officer, a younger Valerian named Kexlin, pulled up displays showing the relative strength of both fleets. Admiral, our intelligence reports show the humans have 312 active warships. We have 1,247. Our technology is also superior, in every category. Exactly, Vextar said, still chuckling. Send a reply. Tell them that if they surrender now, we might only destroy half of their remaining colonies instead of all of them. But before the message could be sent, something impossible happened on their sensor screens. Ships began appearing throughout the Valerian system. Not just a few ships, but hundreds of them. They emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, as if they had been planning this attack for years. Sir, the sensor operator's voice was shaking. I'm reading 847 human vessels. They just appeared from nowhere. Vexitar's laughter died in his throat. That's impossible. Humans don't have that many ships. Check your instruments. Instruments are working perfectly, sir. And sir, these ships don't match any known human designs. They're much larger than our intelligence reports indicated. On the screen, Captain Choi's voice continued calmly. You have 30 seconds to surrender. This is your only warning. Vextar snarled, showing his sharp teeth. Fire on the nearest human ship. Show them what happens when they threaten the Valerian Empire. The Crimson Victory turned its massive weapons toward a human vessel that appeared to be a simple cargo ship. The ship looked old and battered, nothing like a military vessel. Vextar's gunners fired their most powerful energy beams directly at it. The beams struck the human ship and simply disappeared. They didn't bounce off a shield or cause any visible damage. They just vanished as if the ship had absorbed them completely. What just happened? Vextar demanded. Before anyone could answer, the human ship fired back. A single beam of pure white energy shot out from its hull and struck the Valerian flagship. The beam cut through their advanced shields like they were made of paper and tore a hole completely through the ship's armor. Alarms began screaming throughout the bridge as atmosphere rushed out through the breach. Emergency systems sealed the hole, but the message was clear. The humans had weapons that could destroy their most powerful ships with a single shot. All ships open fire, Vextar screamed into his communicator. Destroy them all! The Valerian fleet, over 1,000 strong, turned their weapons on the human ships. The space between the fleets lit up with energy beams, missiles, and plasma cannons. It was the largest space battle in Valerian history. For about 10 minutes, it looked like the Valerians might win through sheer numbers. Their ships swarmed around the smaller human fleet like angry insects. But then the humans began to fight back in earnest. Captain Choi's voice came over an open channel that every ship in the system could hear. All human units, you are authorized to use full combat protocols. Show them what we learned during the Earth Wars. The human ships suddenly moved like nothing the Valerians had ever seen. They twisted and spun through space in patterns that should have been impossible, dodging weapons fire that should have been unavoidable. Their own weapons struck with perfect accuracy, each shot hitting exactly where it would cause the most damage. Within the first hour, 50 Valerian ships had been destroyed. Within the second hour, that number reached 200. The humans were not just winning, they were dominating completely. Vextar watched in horror as his mighty fleet was torn apart. The humans fought with a precision and efficiency that spoke of centuries of experience. Every move they made was calculated, every shot perfectly aimed. Sir, Kexlin said quietly, we should consider surrender. At this rate, our entire fleet will be destroyed within 6 hours. Never, Vextar shouted. We are the Valerian Empire. We do not surrender to anyone. But even as he spoke, more of his ships exploded around him. The humans were not just fighting them. They were teaching them a lesson. Each destroyed Valerian ship was a message. This is what happens when you attack innocent people. Captain Choi's face appeared on their screens again. Admiral Vexitar, your fleet is beaten. Surrender now and we will allow your surviving ships to return home. Continue fighting and we will destroy every last one of you. Vexitar looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. For the first time in his life, he saw fear in Valyrian eyes. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so quiet. Ambassador Kim Soo-jin walked slowly to the center of the Great Hall, her footsteps echoing in the silence. Around her, representatives from 47 different alien species sat in their chairs, all staring at her with expressions of shock and fear. 3 days had passed since the Battle of Valyrian Prime. News of the human victory had spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. The mighty Valyrian Empire, which had terrorized other worlds for centuries, had been completely defeated in less than 8 hours. Soo-jin reached the speaking platform and looked around the chamber. In the Valyrian section, only 12 representatives remained. The rest had fled back to their homeworld after their fleet's destruction. Those who stayed looked broken, their proud purple skin now pale with defeat. Honored delegates, Soo-jin began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. 3 days ago, the Valyrian Empire murdered 50,000 innocent humans on New Terra Colony. Today, I stand before you to explain humanity's response. Ambassador Thylix of the Centauri Republic raised one of his blue hands. Ambassador Kim, we must protest these actions. The destruction of the Valyrian fleet was excessive. Surely diplomatic solutions could have been found. Soo-jin turned to face him directly. Ambassador Thylix, tell me about your children. The question surprised him. I have 3 offspring. Why do you ask? What would you do if someone came to your home and killed all 3 of them? Would you file a diplomatic protest? Would you write a strongly worded letter? Thylex's large eyes blinked rapidly. He said nothing. That is what the Valyrians did to us, Soo-jin continued. They killed our children, our teachers, our doctors, our grandparents. They destroyed entire families without warning, without reason, without mercy. She activated a holographic display that showed images from New Terra before the attack. Happy. Human families walking through parks, children playing with alien friends, scientists working peacefully in their laboratories. For 300 years, humanity has chosen peace, she said. We signed every treaty. We followed every law. We settled our disputes through words instead of weapons. Do you know why we made that choice? The chamber remained silent, but Soo-jin could see the curiosity in their faces. We chose peace because we know the true cost of war. Humans fought each other for thousands of years before we reached the stars. We learned exactly how terrible we could be when we stopped holding back. Another display appeared showing technical specifications of human weapons. The numbers made several delegates gasp in surprise. Our weapons technology is 150 years ahead of anything else in the galaxy, Soo-jin explained. We have been hiding our true capabilities since the day we joined this council, not because we were ashamed of our strength, but because we were ashamed of what we might do with it. Emperor Krellin of the Valyrian Empire stood up slowly. His once proud posture was gone, replaced by the bent shoulders of defeat. Ambassador Kim, we did not know. Our intelligence told us that humans were weak, that your military was small and outdated. Your intelligence was wrong, Soo-jin replied simply. We made sure it was wrong. Every time human ships participated in joint exercises, we used old, slow weapons. Every time we demonstrated our technology, we showed you only what we wanted you to see. She paused and looked directly at the Valyrian Emperor. We were not weak, Emperor Krellin. We were being kind. The words hit the chamber like a physical blow. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The difference, Soo-jin continued, is important. A weak person cannot choose to be merciful. Only someone with strength can choose to show mercy. For 3 centuries, humanity chose to be merciful. The Valyrians made that choice impossible. She activated another display showing the current state of the Valyrian fleet. Out of 1,547 ships, only 89 remained operational. The rest were either destroyed or so badly damaged they would never fly again. We could have continued, Soo-jin said quietly. Our fleet could have traveled to every Valerian world and done to your civilians what you did to ours. We could have destroyed your cities, your schools, your hospitals. We had the power to wipe your entire species from existence. Emperor Krellin's 6 eyes widened with terror at the thought. But we did not, Sujin concluded, because that is not who we choose to be. We destroyed your military because you forced us to defend ourselves, but we spared your civilians because they were innocent of your crimes. She turned to address the entire chamber. Let this be understood by all. Humanity's promise of peace was never about weakness. It was about choice. We chose cooperation over conquest. We chose diplomacy over destruction. We chose to build instead of break. Ambassador Thylek spoke again, his voice much quieter than before. What happens now, Ambassador Kim? Now, Sujin replied, the galaxy knows the truth. Peace is not the absence of strength. Peace is the choice to use that strength wisely. Humanity will continue to choose peace, but we will also continue to protect the innocent. She looked once more at the Valerian Emperor. Emperor Krellin, your empire will surrender unconditionally and make reparations for your crimes. In return, humanity will not seek revenge against your people. This is our final offer. The Emperor nodded slowly. We accept your terms. As Sujin left the chamber, she could hear the whispered conversations beginning among the delegates. The galaxy would never again mistake human kindness for human weakness. They had learned the terrible difference between choosing peace and being incapable of war, and in the depths of a mountain on Earth, Project Prometheus powered down once more, returning to its long sleep until the day it might be needed again.